Okay, so this is an experiment. I'm working on my PhD project, and I'm trying to think of resilience in terms of disabilities. In my first comprehensive, I'm already looking at um, showing how information communication technology has improved access to funding supports, because frankly that's what we need to be able to function in this world, to get ahead, is money. We need funding, and um, otherwise, without, we go into a lot of debt, which creates a lot more stress, especially when we're older and sicker and then have a lot of debt hanging over our heads. But that's okay. We figure out ways to manage, and that's resilience. Figuring out the ways to manage, and managing and overcoming, that's resilience. It's I struggle with terms like resilience because you think they're flu, they're just another trend term. And with resilience, it's that you have to go through those trials and tribulations. So resilience is associated with, say, a victim of abuse, or um, something negative having happened to that person. Instead, I think of Marcus. Oh shoot, Roman emperor, who wrote on Stoicism. And when you think of somebody who is stoic, it's somebody who overcomes obstacles no matter what. I would say somebody who is stoic is resilient, where they overcome. It's about, no matter what in life, there are obstacles. There's obstacles in using our hearing aids. I don't wear any right now because technology was not there for me. There's dealing with our computers every day. Everybody runs into problems with technology. And the resilience comes in with going, you know what? Fine, I know you're not going to work today, but I'm going to continue anyway. I'm going to overcome this. If it means taking a moment to step back, if it means dealing with a problem, doing some problem solving, or if it means just whatever. But how do we help others do that too? Um, as a person with disabilities, I look at things differently. I've had to learn differently and find my own methods to be able to understand information around me. I rely heavily on the internet. I rely heavily on being connected to that universe, to the internet. It has allowed me to access a world beyond my imagination. But yet, I look at the statistics, and 80% of the people with disabilities require an aid of some sort. 27% of them can't even access or is missing funding for something. The greatest barrier for the devices is cost, time, adherence. Frankly, some programs just don't work. The people training us have their own biases and perspectives, and that's very well documented in literature, where professionals are like, no, we don't think it'll work for them, or we don't bother because it's above them, kind of thing. And it's a harsh mentality. It's hard, but it's one that we see often, and it exists. You really have to be a self advocate to that, though. So, with being a self advocate, how do you develop advocacy skills? It's by speaking up for oneself, being assertive, while allowing the space for others at the same time to be able to voice their opinions too. But we must be heard and acknowledged, and a meeting of halfway in communication, because we can't fully adapt to those who can fully gather information from their traditional senses. But they can't adapt to us either, because we don't. A person I've been asked so many times in my life, Amanda, what's it like to be blind? Amanda, what's it like to not hear? The closest I can give, cover your eye. You still see darkness. You see more than I did. Now you have a prosthetic eye. Which brings us to Subculture, which is that a byproduct? Is that something we strive for? Continual learning, continual education, for teaching ourselves, making sure we advance, being able to teach people around us, to inform, to make aware, while being kind and gentle without wanting to punch people all the time. Ignorance it's there. That's where we find communities online of like-minded people. That's where we find associations and other advocacy groups to help along. But yet, how do we know how to navigate all those? The other side of the internet that I haven't even touched yet is there's a lot of downsides to it too. You're a lot more vulnerable. There's still risks online, especially when you're dating. There's lots of risks in that. However, it's safer because it's a communication form that is much better. You're not having to worry about not being able to hear the person over the phone or meeting them in person and them noticing there's something different about you before even meeting your personality and getting to know you. So that's where virtual talking goes a long way. This is a total experiment. I have no idea where I'm going with this now. Self-culture, self-advocacy, resilience, information, communication technology. Those are the things that are floating around my brain right now. Yeah. Money, information and communication technology and assistive devices, advocacy, resilience, self-culture, and dreams. Something also with the resilience too, and ability to overcome. The ability to overcome, the ability to be positive, the ability to imagine. Your imagination is often based off your own culture and values. It's also based a lot by external supports too, don't get me wrong. But statistically speaking, anyone with disability is at much higher risk for mental health issues later on, such as depression. If you haven't already experienced it already, you hopefully have built enough resilience not to, ever. And if you have had it, take it as a learning experience so you have much more resilience the next time. I made it through postpartum with my son. Single mother. Ree was a year and a half when I realized that I survived postpartum depression. It showed in little ways, but because of the depression I experienced when I was much younger, I kept saying I would know how to deal with it. I would know the signs. It came about differently this time, but no less damaging on the long term. Short term, I did phenomenal. The knowing experience. It's one thing to say, I know, based off what you've read. But there's a skill that you develop. It's like learning how to read. You learn how to feel. You learn how to... It's a different literacy entirely. There's a social literacy. There's a resilient... No, I can't even... Literacy is something you learn that is taught, that is developed. Is literacy like resilience in that? Can resilience be taught? Can it be developed? Literacy is your functional literacy. It's we talk about literacy, it's the understanding of how to communicate. Patient literacy is communication with patients, their values. Functional literacy, reading and writing. Social literacy, it's more communication based again. Physical literacy, movements, understanding how to move your body in healthy ways. Literacy inherently develops healthy strategies, methods, ways of communicating, ways of living, ways to access information. Oh my gosh, the amount of information I can access by physically moving and experiencing is amazing. What I can access through the internet information is beyond my brain. I still have my 1956 encyclopedias that I access regularly, and just helped a friend for her son's homework last week with information. I have to be literate in order to access the technology, read the books, do exercise. Well, gain that literacy, go to yoga classes. I have to be literate. So a person with disabilities must be literate in order to self-culture, to be resilient, to follow one's dreams, and to earn and access the money necessary to follow those dreams and to access information communication technology devices and assistive devices, especially in adulthood, when all of a sudden we go from a private system over to the public system and have to learn how to manage it all of a sudden on our own. Do you need ICTs and ADTs in order to be literate? No, but you need to be literate in order to use ICTs and ADTs effectively. Do you need ICTs and ADTs to follow your dreams? Oftentimes, yes. Everything's online now. If you want to apply for funding, it's there. If you want to travel, you have to book through there. You can go through people, independent operators, consultants. They cost money. Otherwise, you're doing it on your own. Or you put the money towards paying somebody to do it for you, like a travel agent. Yeah, like if you go see a travel agent, for example. So, do you need ICT to be resilient? No, but it helps. It helps inform. Advocacy. A lot of advocacy is learned and done through ICTs and ADTs. You have to be able to communicate. So anything that requires effective communication requires ICT and ADTs. Accessing information, to be information literate, allows you to research all of this. It's like the in bucket and out bucket almost. Like you Then I look at ICTs and ADTs where there's information structures, and those information structures are influenced by various stakeholders. And I mean, part of the information structures, infrastructures is the role of access. Policies, government policies. Government policies are huge in ICTs and ADTs. Huge, huge, huge. being able to navigate is a literacy.